What's up and welcome to Bigger's World Section 7, Money, Money, Money! It's all about the money in this one in currency and how you can get the best rate. So let's get right into it with airport. There's that common stigma around the airports that you get the worst rate there, and this is absolutely true for the most part. However, sometimes it's worth taking that little X at the airport and getting hit with that fee and having the local currency before you get out. Because if you get into, the local area and you don't have the local currency, you could get ripped off on exchange rates like nobody's business as you go in taxis and restaurants and everything. So it's always good to have a little currency, little local currency before you ever get into the city. So what I generally do is I use my card at the airport because it does two things. I get a little local currency and I know my card's working. Because a lot of times if my card's not working, I don't want to leave the airport just yet until I have my card working. So I'll go find a nice spot, call my bank, and get it all handled out before I leave, because at the airport, generally you can always find a good Wi-Fi spot that you can call your bank, especially if you don't have a SIM card that's working. So keep that in mind when you arrive, that maybe check out, see if your card's working, so then you don't have to worry about it once you're in the city. And yes, generally in the city, you're going to find much better exchange rates. However, they're not always so dramatic that it's going to be worth it to not take the hit. Next one is, always carry a $20 USD or a 20 euro in your pocket. I always do. I carry it right with my passport, just so I always have that before I leave. Especially in the United States, you can easily go up to your bank, ask for 20 euros, pay them in USD, and then you can have a $20 euro and you can have a $20 USD bill. So it's always a good thing just to have that in your pocket, just in case. So one other big thing that I've noticed is tipping. Tipping's different in all cultures, but in the United States, it's 20% here, and that's what we pay all the time. Sometimes it doesn't even matter if they're any good. You always pretty much give a 20% tip. That's not accurate, or that's not the way the other countries work, so keep that in mind. However, they're not all the same, so don't think because you're in Europe, oh, it's a 10% because we're in Europe. That's not always true. If you're in a touristy area, or you're in Paris and you're at a restaurant, it's 20% just like it is anywhere else, but you don't always know that. And all industries are different in these places, so remember that. Another big thing, a lot of times when you are done with your meal, you need to get the waiter or waitress's attention for them to come give you your bill, because if you just sit there, you're not going to ever get your check. In the U.S., a lot of times they'll come at you and they'll give you your check immediately as soon as they see you're done. It's not like that in the rest of the world, so be aware of that. Just also go over your budget before you go. You need to know how much your budget, how much you're allowed to spend before you ever get there. If you don't, you're not going to know. You're not going to know if you go over your budget. And this happens very easily with currency rates. Because, if you're using an app and you're like, all right, 1 USD is equal to 10 pesos, that could be true on the app. But that doesn't mean that's the exchange rate you're getting. You might be getting 1 USD to 7. That's a big difference, and you might not notice that. And before you know it, you spent $45 already, and your budget was $50 for the whole day, and it's 11 a.m. So be aware of that, always kind of figuring out exactly how that's going to be. And yeah, so that's money. There's not a lot to really talk about in money. It's just about, tipping, knowing how people tip, and it's about knowing where to get your best rates. Your best rates are going to be in the city, but that doesn't always mean it's smarter to not take money out in the airport and then go to the city, because a lot of times I've done it before where I got a taxi and I got it all the way to the city, and it would only cost me maybe 4 or 5 USD. However, I only had a 20, and the guy gave me back change in the local currency, and it ended up being like equivalent of like 4 USD. Because you don't want to be, it just feels awkward when you're doing. You're like, oh, okay, I guess that's right, but it's not always right. And then so basically, I got ripped, 14 bucks there. So be aware of this before you get into countries. Doing a little research goes a long way. So that's money, and stay tuned to Section 8, which may be a little longer. I don't really know yet. So Section 8's coming up.